Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we've pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources, all focused on the career of just one individual.
Hmm.
And our mission really is to take you beyond just the surface level. We want to uncover, the specific business pivots, those entrepreneurial choices, and maybe some unexpected shifts that defined her success.
Yeah, across different, sometimes even conflicting industries.
Exactly. We're really looking for the how and the why behind what seems like a truly pioneering career path.
And the person we're diving into today is Tanya Hansen. Now, she's widely known as a pioneering Norwegian figure in the adult industry, right?
Right.
But if you only focus on that, you miss this huge picture of her evolution. What we're really looking at, I think, is a masterclass in brand transition.
Okay.
How she moved from performing into being this respected media personality, a publisher, a pretty significant business owner in Scandinavia, always sort of testing those boundaries of cultural acceptance.
Okay, fascinating. Let's ground this with the basics first then. So she was born Tanja Hansen, September 11th, 1973. That's in Jessheim, Norway.
Okay.
And it's clear straight away from the sources, managing her name was part of the early game. She's listed as Tanja Karina Hansen, sometimes Tanya Hyde, and then the standard Tanya Hansen we mostly know.
Yeah. Common issue with pseudonyms and spellings.
Huh. But regardless of the spelling, the core story seems to be this rapid ascent, starting right there in Norway. So let's look at that launch phase. How did she actually get from Jessheim to, well, international visibility? The sources paint a picture of someone starting really young and moving fast.
Very fast. She began with swimsuit and lingerie modeling, like right around 18.
Okay.
Then, after high school, she pretty quickly transitioned into live performance. We're talking stripping, performing in clubs in Oslo, other Scandinavian cities,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time appearing in softcore magazines. So building that foundation.
Right. And what's interesting there is how maybe deliberate that escalation seems.
Exactly. It feels very planned, very rapid. That groundwork built her visibility, and it led directly to the pivotal moment in 1997.
Okay, what happened?
That's when the Italian director Joe D'Amato reportedly discovered her. And that led to her first hardcore film,
Ah.
and boom, she was immediately successful, became famous across Europe almost overnight.
Wow. Overnight, really?
It seems like it was incredibly fast.
Mhm.
And that success coming so early and from a relatively small country like Norway,
Yeah.
it basically earned her a permanent place in the record books.
Yeah.
Across our sources, she is consistently called Norway's first porn star.
Norway's first. That title alone, it really underscores the significance, doesn't it? For the whole region, not just Norway.
Totally. She wasn't just following a path, she was basically creating it there.
And the numbers back this up, right? The scale of her fame.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at the sheer volume of her output in that early period,
Yeah.
it's pretty staggering. It shows this incredibly intense work ethic needed to build that international profile. We're talking posing for 209 magazine covers.
209.
Yep. 4 distinct photo sets featured in 205 videos.
Good grief.
And modeling for huge global names like Hustler Busty Beauties, Cherry, High Society, Gents, working with big houses like Scoreland and Private.
Okay, so she was everywhere.
Everywhere. The sources even note her height, 5'6", 1.68 meters, just tons of data points showing this massive output. That level of visibility doesn't just happen by chance.
No kidding. That's wild. 205 videos, over 200 covers. We're talking about a brand that just saturated the market almost immediately. This wasn't just performance. It was, like you said, a factory of personal branding.
Exactly right. And once that brand was so firmly established, she immediately started leveraging it. First into formal recognition, but then more importantly, into media control.
Okay, so the recognition first. Awards and things.
Yeah, the industry definitely noticed. She was a 2001 Venus Award nominee for Best European Actress. And then in 2003, she actually won the Venus Award for Best Actress in Scandinavia.
Okay, wording awards, that makes sense. Keeps you relevant within the industry.
Yeah.
But you said media control. This is where I think the story gets really interesting for anyone studying business and media pivots.
This is the juicy part, yeah.
She didn't just stay in front of the camera or even just behind it as a performer. She moved into editing and publish. Wait, hang on. How does someone jump from performer to suddenly being an editor of Norwegian magazines?
Well, that's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows that her name, her brand, carried immense weight, like across different industries. She didn't just appear in magazines. She took control.
Okay.
She served as editor for 2 Norwegian magazines, Cocktail and Leak. Now, maybe these were, adjacent to the mainstream.
Right, maybe not exactly mainstream news.
But they were still publishing in editorial roles.
Mm.
She was in charge of content direction. That's a big shift.
That is a significant shift in authority, yeah. But the biggest pivot documented in our sources, the one that honestly kind of shocks me, is the leap into broadcast media.
Ah, yes. The radio show.
In 1999, she hosted the P3 radio program Opter. Now, for you listening, we have to make sure the context here is absolutely clear. P3 isn't just some small station,
Yeah,
right?
not at all. That context is crucial.
Mm.
P3 is owned by NRK, the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation. It's basically Norway's equivalent of, say, the BBC Radio 1 or National Public Radio in the U.S.
Wow.
So hosting Opter was an undeniably mainstream role. It gave her a platform and a kind of legitimacy that just shattered the usual barrier between adult entertainment and national media. It was pretty much unheard of at the time.
So she wasn't just like dipping a toe in the mainstream. She was hosting a show on the national public airwaves only 2 years after her big debut film.
Exactly, 2 years.
How did that even happen? What was the public reaction? Was there huge controversy, or was the Scandinavian market just, I don't know, more accepting of this kind of crossover back then?
Well, the fact that it happened, and seems to have been sustained for a while, it points to a really interesting flexibility within that Norwegian media landscape. I mean, surely there was discussion,
You'd think so.
but clearly her brand power, her celebrity status outweighed potential objections. It shows that by '99, her visibility had already transcended the niche she started in.
Okay.
It signals she was being viewed, first and foremost, as just a popular media personality, which is a key distinction,
Right.
not just a performer.
Right. And that national visibility, that must have allowed her to double down on controlling her own brand, her own content creation. The next logical step seems like moving into production and actual ownership.
Exactly. And she did it. She took the initiative, established her own company, Tanya Hansen Productions.
Okay.
And this was specifically set up to produce her own hardcore films. So moving from being talent for hire to controlling the creative, the finances.
Yeah.
That's a classic step in media entrepreneurship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vertical integration.
Makes sense. And that entrepreneurial drive didn't stop with film production, did it?
Not at all. She became a publisher, too, responsible for the worldwide distribution of the hardcore magazine babes.
Okay, so she's got content creation covered with her production company. She's got distribution covered with publishing bags. And she's got this huge visibility from things like the radio show. It sounds like a perfect pivot, moving her entirely into the power seat.
She was definitely consolidating a kind of media empire, yeah. But then she decided to jump outside the media world entirely. Around 2005, she made this clear effort to diversify her brand into general commerce, specifically fashion retail.
Oh, right. The retail experiment. I saw that. She launched both a physical clothing store, Paparazzi, and an online version, Fashion Diva.
Yeah.
Which seems like a logical brand extension on the surface, right? If she's seen as a style icon, why not sell clothes? But the sources suggest this particular venture didn't quite take off.
It didn't. And the sources are really specific here. They note explicitly, engine success med claire, which means no success was clothes. And that provides really vital nuance to her business story. While she seemed to master media, publishing, content creation, the really competitive world of fashion retail, both physical and online, proved resistant.
Why do you think that specific venture stalled when her media stuff soared? Was the market just too crowded? Or maybe the skills needed for, like, supply chains and inventory are just fundamentally different from running a film set or an editorial calendar?
I think that's a really important distinction to make. Her success in media relied heavily on leveraging her existing fame and network, right? It's a relatively low overhead, high impact kind of business model.
Okay.
Retail, especially physical retail, that requires totally different expertise. Complex logistics, managing stock, high overhead costs, intense local competition. Fame might get people in the door, but it can't manage the day-to-day operations or the balance sheet.
Right.
It really demonstrates that not every part of a powerful personal brand automatically translates into success in every single business sector. It's actually an important lesson in diversification. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the retail failure might have been a bit of a business hiccup, but her overall cultural relevance seems to have been cemented by something far more unexpected and way more public. This is probably the most surprising fact we dug up in this deep dive, showing the true extent of her mainstream crossover in Norway.
Yeah, we absolutely have to talk about Telenor.
Right.
For anyone listening outside Scandinavia, Telenor is the telecommunications giant in Norway, like the main phone company.
Yeah. Huge.
And she appeared in advertisements and commercials for them. Specifically, the sources mentioned the juice commercial. You have to understand, Telenor is this national, highly visible, very conventional brand.
It's like AT&T or Verizon in the US or BT in the UK.
Exactly. It's the equivalent of a major utility or phone carrier using her as a key face in their advertising to the general public.
That is just extraordinary. A major national telecom using someone with her specific background for general market advertising. It suggests this almost revolutionary level of cultural acceptance, or at least pragmatism, in Scandinavia back in the early 2000s.
It really does.
It goes way beyond just hosting a niche radio show. This puts her image directly into, like, every living room in the country via TV ads.
Absolutely. It implies that for Telenor, the benefit of her star power, her sheer visibility, must have outweighed any potential controversy.
They made a calculated bet.
They did. And her presence helped normalize, or at least very publicly demonstrate, those blurred lines between industries. She was seen as a celebrity, full stop. A celebrity whose public persona could sell mobile plans.
And it wasn't just commercials either, the music industry connection. She appeared in Diaz's music video Jessheim back in 2002.
Right. Another mainstream touchpoint.
So let's recap. National radio host, major telecom ads, music video appearances, running publishing empires, production companies, all built from that initial, very specific platform. That is an incredibly rapid and comprehensive transition.
It really reinforces the significance of these mainstream appearances. It demonstrates that, certainly in the Scandinavian context at that time, the cultural landscape was maybe far more flexible regarding personal history than perhaps we might assume, or than it might be in other markets.
Yeah.
She achieved this extraordinary level of cultural visibility and integration. Her whole career path is just this powerful illustration of how market visibility, sheer fame, can sometimes trump traditional industry silos.
And today, she seems to maintain that kind of international flexibility. The sources mention she splits her time between Norway and Sweden and also Madrid, Spain.
Right, back near where her international film career really kicked off.
So it's a career narrative that doesn't really end with fading visibility, but seems to show sustained international presence and continued entrepreneurial activity, even with some bumps like the clothing line. Hashtag Chag outro.
So yeah, to kind of synthesize what we've uncovered here, Tanya Hansen's career demonstrates this really significant and, frankly, pioneering shift. She didn't just perform. She quickly moved to establish production and publishing companies, achieving real brand control. And simultaneously, she was crossing these traditional lines, hosting national radio, securing major commercial endorsements with mainstream giants like Telenor.
Yeah.
I think the key takeaway for you listening is the sheer pace and the multifaceted nature of career evolution, especially in the media age. It proves that a strong personal brand, if leveraged correctly, can successfully cross and maybe even conquer some pretty rigid industry boundaries.
Absolutely. The speed and the breadth of that transition are just remarkable. And if we connect this all the way back to those editing roles she had for Cocktail and Leak alongside those Telenor commercials, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, what does that combination truly suggest about the state of media boundaries in, say, 21st century Europe? Was that line between mainstream and niche already kind of dissolving anyway? Or was her powerful, really market-savvy brand actively forcing that boundary to collapse?
That's a great question. Was she reflecting a change or driving it?
Exactly. That's something for you to mull over as you consider the whole evolution of celebrity, media, and commerce.
A fantastic point for consideration, definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive today. We really encourage you to explore that fascinating overlap between media, publishing, and mainstream commerce further based on some of the insights we've uncovered.